Hello everyone and welcome back to another Batman Miniature Game 3rd edition battle report for the channel, and today a 350 rep team, well with an asterisk on the 350 rep I guess because of the way teams work. The Teen Titans are going up against a 350 rep of Organised Crime. So we've got a little bit to talk about regarding teams in general in the current state of Batman 3rd edition, but we'll get to that in a second. We'll look at both teams playing on the table before you and we'll get started. So for the first time in a little while we have the Teen Titans team on the channel, being led by the new Nightwing. Being brought along is the new, ironically called Classic, Batgirl. And then we have Raven, Starfire, and Beast Boy, who thanks to scale creep compared to the new Batgirl and Nightwing looks like he's 8 years old. But either way, teams in general, that's what I mentioned before. So in the teams document, the old PDF that hasn't been updated since like 2015, maybe something ridiculous like that. That might be a bit of an exaggeration, but either way, there used to be a bunch of rules, second edition rules, that applied if you were making a Teen Titans team. Like for instance, for every 2 of them you had, I think you got a 40 rep discount. This is actually 400 rep of miniatures, but for every team in the Bat app currently, you just get a 10 rep discount on every person. So it's a bit more homogenized across all teams. Works better that way. But if you make a Bat family team in the app, it correctly applies some of the old team document rules. Like it gives everyone Boy Wonder, it gives everybody team up, and the things they should have. If you do that with a Teen Titans team, it doesn't apply any of those old rules. So this leads to the confusion of, do you still use that old document that has a bunch of outdated garbage in it, or do you just pick and choose what you use and what you don't? I'm going to go by the app this time. So no survivor. There's no 1 in 6 chance of the Teen Titans not dying if they hit 0 HP. No inexperience points, because it doesn't mention that in the app either. We are 100% going by the app and nothing else. So if that is wrong, fix your app. Anyway, Nightwing has Moment of Glory and handcuffs. Beast Boy's got his various forms back there. He'll be starting in Eagle form probably, or bird form, because it's the best one. Starfire has handcuffs as well. Raven, we're not using magic because there's no 3rd edition rules for magic, but she's honestly pretty decent at other stuff, even if you don't have magic cards. She's a demon, so you roll less dice against her. She can transfer wounds to people. Her base magic attack, like her, it's a ranged attack essentially, is pretty decent. And once per game she can raise her defense by 1 for the whole round, so she's pretty decent. So with that little tirade out of the way, please update the app, please. Please make it consistent so that it's not super confusing for new players who want to play Teen Titans or other teams or cults or anything else. This should have been stuff done really early on. But anyway. And here's the Organised Crime crew bringing in some ringers this time. So it's being led by the Carmine Falcone themed around the Batman, so he's intel support, so he's not really on the table. And he'll be the boss. His sidekick is Fright, who is Dr. Fright from the Scarecrow crew. I guess at some point she switches allegiances to Black Mask and goes kind of a dominatrix route or something. Either way, she is the sidekick. The free agent is Hugo Strange. We're bringing him along here rather than in a Scarecrow crew again, just to see how he performs. He should do pretty well with them, and he's got a really decent stat line. He's got a sidekick stat line, so he can handle himself. And then we have some old Organised Crime crew at the back there, Vipera, in the blue suit, and then Iceman with the most dangerous gun on the table. He also has a silencer and an extra load of ammo. That was the dog pushing past my foot there. And an extra load of ammo. So that silencer means you can't dodge his shots, which means he is going to be priority target number 1, because that is a triple blood assault rifle he's got. It is very damaging and will very easily kill the Teen Titans. Then we also have bouncers 1 and 3. 3 is the one reaching into his pocket for the pistol there. They've got some beneficial rules to try and make the Organised Crime deck decent, so we'll see if that comes to fruition here. And with that, back at deployment. So here we are at deployment. The Organised Crime crew are on your left and the Teen Titans team are to your right. Dick Grayson is not on the table. He will be entering at some point via Shadowed Nightmare, probably to try and hunt down Iceman, which has influenced where he's deployed as a result. There is out of deployment movement as well. Vipera for the Organised Crime crew has undercover, so they've deployed outside up to there with Audacity. Carmine Falcone has Audacity, and then the rest of his crew, because he just has a couple without Audacity right next to him, are over here. And Hugo Strange and Fright have Audacity, and they've got the other bouncer, kind of hard to see, right in there. So Dick Grayson's not on the field, but the rest of them, Raven is down here with Audacity, Starfire's on top of the bus stand with Audacity, Beast Boy has started in his bird form with Audacity, and Batgirl is over here without, but she has one of the boys and a radio and all that good stuff, so she'll have a manipulate at the very least, despite not having Audacity. There's one card being played. The Teen Titans are playing their Die Hard turn 1, and it is being played on Batgirl. So that is it for things in play. The Teen Titans also have, how many passes do they have? Because it's 5, they have 2 passes I believe, so they will probably make use of those as well. With that, let's get the game started. Bouncer 3 got the game started for Organised Crime without Audacity, but right next to Falcone. He moved up to where you can see him right here and put down a suspect marker using that free manipulate. Now, Nightwing did not choose to come off of the back of that one being placed. I forgot to mention, I think, but he has Audacity as well. That's where the 4th marker is for the Teen Titans. He did not come off in off the back of that, because even if he did, Iceman is there, yes, and he is exceptionally dangerous, but Vipera also has a silenced weapon. It's not as dangerous because it's just a pistol, but it's silenced, so no dodge against attacks from it. So there's a nice kind of crossfire there between 2 silenced weapons that would make it very dangerous for Nightwing to decide to just randomly jump in. Plus Fright could come around the corner and fire as well. So he's not coming in off the back of that. And it would be over to the Teen Titans now. They're going to use a pass. So with that pass now officially used, Carmine Falcone already activated, the big boss of his crew, Intel Support. He placed himself up where you can see him, adjacent to the suspect marker that was just put down, and he is removing that to turn it into turn 1 loot. And it's going to be very unlikely for an Intel Support character to get done in. Well, maybe not from the start of the game, it depends how many suspect markers they put down, I suppose. But he is now holding on to loot. Now the reason the suspect marker is still there is because as a special action, he then used coordination to make the henchman put down another suspect marker. So it's just the same one, because it would be the same place. Nightwing, once again, choosing not to come in off the back of that, because he would get shot by a lot of guns. Now, it's a bit more of a difficult decision now whether the Teen Titans activate or hold on to that extra pass to potentially get +1 to the take the lead role for round 2, because round 2's start could be very pivotal. So Raven went for the Teen Titans and moved up just enough that she has 10 movement, but she moved up just enough that she was within 8 of the bodyguard over there, sorry, the bouncer, so that she could use her standard attack. It counts as a throwing attack. It's magic death beams of some variety with the terror effect on them as well. So 2 cards get pulled from the top of the criminal syndicate Organised Crime deck. One of them gets put in the terror pile. It'll get moved out as per the new rules for how terror works, and would do single blood damage, but it has been converted from the 2 out of the 3 potential hits to stun damage with non-lethal ammo. I guess she switched to non-lethal magic at some point. Also during her turn, she's using her once per game occultism rule that usually dictates what schools of magic you can use from the 2nd edition magic rules, but it also gives you a once per game ability, and in this case it is +1 to her defense stat until the end of the round. She is using it, so she's defense 5, which should reduce the chance of her getting shot to pieces, because it's going to be much harder to get that hit through other than the strength die, because she is lit up by the light there, which is a problem. So she's defense 5 until the end of the round, and she scored a card. Oh, off of the back of that damage, however, the Organised Crime can actually counter by playing a pinched mobster, which is very shiny from where we are. Let's see if we can get that into focus. So if a friendly model takes damage, you put a counter in contact with it. Any model can manipulate it to move it 4. If it is in the Organised Crime's deployment zone at any point, doesn't need to be this turn specifically, it will score for a massive 3. It's one of their better cards in otherwise not great deck. So that is the event marker right there. Anyone can manipulate it, so the Teen Titans can try and get it further away, although obviously this is still the danger zone. Bit of a biding time activation next. Hugo Strange activated. We're not going to get to see any of his mind control shenanigans this turn. I did forget to mention though, it was thanks to him that Organised Crime got first turn, because he has Mastermind, and the +1 made the difference. He moved up though and put down a suspect marker as if begging Nightwing to come out of the back of that one. He didn't, so it is just placed there. He does have the ability to mind control. He can also heal people or hinder people if they score objective cards within 4 of them, same as the standard stuff that Scarecrow has. And if anyone has a mental disorder within a certain distance of him, he can also manipulate them in some way. I forget offhand what, but it's another rule that Scarecrow has as well. So very similar to him, and I guess that's why he's boxed with them. But for now, not doing too much. But as mentioned when looking over the crews, he's sturdy. Attack 4, Defense 4, 8 willpower, 7 endurance, sidekick stat line, on the upper end of a sidekick stat line. So even if Batgirl decides to go after him, she is pretty tough with that combo unarmed, but he can probably take it in theory. So Batgirl did activate next for the Teen Titans, however, a slight correction to where she was starting. Every time she's been on the table, we've forgotten that she has Scout. She's supposed to get a free move before the game starts, and as a result we're taking advantage of that now because it's a really powerful role. I think the only other person offhand to remember who has it is Deathstroke the Terminator. Either way, so yes, she was there, but before the game she could have moved, so we're going to counter her starting from there. It doesn't really matter because she only used 1 inch above what she would normally have anyway, but just for clarity's sake, the Scout was used, just not quite at the right time. So she used it not to get into base-to-base with Hugo Strange, but to get into base-to-base with the suspect marker he put down, which she is removing with her radio, so she gets that free Inspire, presumably, even though Nightwing is technically not on the table right now. And for that, we'll score a comb through everything. Now that obviously puts her in the danger zone. Vipera, she's just outside of 8, I think, so you would have to move. But Iceman down here is also a threat. She's defense 4, so there's a chance she'll live. Not allowed to dodge. Well, actually, she doesn't even have acrobat either way, so that's her downside. So she's in trouble either way. Fright activated and moved up and shot her, I think it's just called an automatic gun, into Batgirl, losing 2 dice for moving and firing it, but she also played as a resource message job to make her -1 defense. Now that does just say an attack action. Usually cards specify ranged or melee if it's specific, so this presumably can count for either. If that is wrong, it's down to the wording of the card. So she was only counting as defense 3. 2 hits got through as a result for the full damage possible from that attack anyway. For 2 blood, 2 stun. Batgirl was a 7/6 model. No cards scored on it though, but obviously she's in a lot of danger. Oh, and Fright did try and use Inspire Fear as her special action, but Barbara passed it. Starfire activated for the Teen Titans, starting on top of that bus stand there. She used Fly as a special action, giving her 18 inches of movement, which made her able to go all the way over here, kind of come down off the building, right into Vipera's back. She efforted once. She has steel hands, so she does triple stun with her close combat attacks because she's super strong, 2+ strength as well. He did an effort and took 12 stun damage from the attacks. He's defense 2. So he is very much knocked out, and as a result, oh sorry, not as a result of that, just during her turn as well, she put into play the Soldiers of Fortune card, Free For All, which Teen Titans can use. Have more friendly models than any models not suffering KO within 4 of the center of the gaming area. The center of the gaming area is approximately there, so that's going to be a little bit hard for either side. Obviously that puts her in danger of potentially just immediately dying, honestly, if Iceman activates, because she doesn't dodge. She does have invulnerability 1, but he's got a triple blood gun. It's not even double blood. I forgot it was triple. So she's probably dead if he decides to attack her. But that won't score anything, so that's something to consider as well. Yep, Iceman couldn't resist going for that kill. He shot at Starfire, chose not to shoot at Barbara, even though getting Barbara would stop that diehard from scoring because she is beyond 12 inches and not in the light, so he'd lose dice for doing that. Reduces the chance of him potentially killing. So he unloaded into Starfire. 2 hits got through for 6 damage. Her invulnerability brings that down to 5, but unfortunately she's only got 5 HP. She's very not as tanky as you would think for a super strong space alien. So that is Starfire just out of there already in turn 1. Oof. And although she has True Love Dick Grayson as a rule, the Nightwing does not have True Love Starfire, so he's not going to get pumped up as a result of her getting removed off the table. It does mean that the dangerous gun has now gone, so now is the chance to try and strike and get rid of him. But, oh, and sorry, I totally forgot, there was another reason for doing that. Of course, there's a card to score. Not a message job though, so only a dirty job, so only 1 victory point scored off of that kill rather than 2, but still a score. Well, second last activation of Battle Round 1 for the Teen Titans was Beast Boy. He had Audacity, he used Fly because he's in his bird form. I think in total that gives him like 22 inches of movement to play with, because the bird form itself has 4 inches of extra movement or something like that. Either way, he didn't use it all. He flew up to the middle of the map now that Starfire is no longer holding it, and put down a suspect marker, off the back of which Nightwing entered via Shadowed Nightmare. He can be placed within 8, and he has popped himself right there. He has an Audacity marker, and he is very angry at one particular henchman who is very much in danger. Last activation for Organised Crime in Battle Round 1 was the other bouncer, Bouncer 1, no Audacity and not close enough to Falcone to get Manipulate. He simply moved up to be near his boss, right there in the middle of the street. So with that, it is over to Nightwing to end off the round. Well, Nightwing activated and didn't really end up moving that far, but first of all, he used Vigilante's work, which gives him extra Manipulate in return for an effort, and he did that to manipulate the pinched mobster icon 4 inches further away from where it needs to be, making it harder to score. He then moved into base to base with Iceman, used his combo sticks on him, double stun, and managed to do 6 stun. Didn't even need that much because he already had 2 on him, I think. Oh, no, he had none, but he's a 4/4 miniature. So he would be knocked out, but then as a special action, he is arresting them. And will score as a result, get them off the streets. So that very dangerous gun that killed Starfire is now off the table. Good to get one of those cards scored as well now, because with Starfire not being on the table, Nightwing's the only one with the arrest capability. Actually, no, I think Batgirl might have that built into her. Does she? No, she does. She does. So there is actually still 2 possible models for doing arrests, but with Starfire gone, there's 1 less than there would have been. So that takes us to the end of the round. So we'll see if there's any other cards to come out of hand, and just check the stat of things. So at the end of a surprisingly bloody battle round 1, the knocked out Vipera is staying knocked out. He's a 4/4 miniature as well. So he's eating dirt for another turn. He's just staying on the floor. Everyone else is conscious and had stun damage, which I think is just Nightwing at this point. Oh no, and the other bouncer, because of the non-lethal ammo. They've healed 1 stun each. No additional cards being played. Of the cards in play for Organised Crime, Viable Commodities and Pinched Mobster both stay in play. They are both capable of scoring, well, 1 at the end of the game and 1 once that marker gets moved in the right direction. The 2 cards in play for the Teen Titans, Die Hard does score because Barbara survived. She's wounded, but she survived. And the free-for-all scores because the only person within 4 of the centre that's actually conscious, going by as a crow flies, not counting the height of the building, it's still just Beast Boy, because Vipera is the only other one in range, and he's unconscious, so he doesn't count. So that free-for-all does score as well. With that, we're into the setup for Battle Round 2. So here is the board state at the top of Battle Round 2 with the first 2 phases done. Organised Crime managed to retain first activation. The +1 kept from the unused pass to counter Hugo Strange's +1 didn't make a difference, unfortunately. So the Teen Titans are at the mercy of a gun of some variety to start with, I'm sure. There's only 4 of them left, incidentally, so all 4 of them have Audacity markers. Beast Boy has retained his bird form up there on the roof to try and get down this turn. And for Organised Crime, the bouncer here does not have Audacity. Everyone else, and the unconscious Vipera obviously, everyone else does have Audacity. There's 2 cards being played, both by Organised Crime. They are playing their Die Hard, which is being played on Hugo Strange because he's a tough cookie. And a Recovering the Juice is being played on Hugo Strange because, I don't know, the Teen Titans don't really need to put down suspect markers, so this is a bit of a you-know-what shoot. But hey, we'll see if it works out. Well, Battle Round 2 got started with Fright trying to remove Barbara Gordon from the table. Before moving to where you can see her up there by the Batmobile, she did just fire the last of her ammo down there. In fact, you can see the 2 successful dice. So, got her for 2 more blood, 2 more stun. That means she's up to 4 blood, 3 stun, and she's still alive. She's 7 willpower, 6 endurance. So she is still alive, getting close to dying, unfortunately. But nothing scored on that as a result of not finishing the job. And she just moved up to be in a better position for the turn after, now that she's got no ammo left. Well, that kind of forced the Teen Titans' hand that Barbara had to be the first activation, but she had Audacity this time, so she could do a bunch more stuff. She used her Batclaw as a special action and shot over here all the way after one of the few remaining conscious guns on the table, attacked with her reinforced gloves combo unarmed, and took out the Bouncer 3, this is. Yeah, with the pistol. He has only 4 willpower, 6 endurance, so he can take a bit more blood damage, but not punch damage. So he is KO'd, and was going to say that he got arrested, but forgot she already used her special action to get over there, so she cannot arrest him. So he is just on the dirt, unconscious. Because he took damage, though, this is appearing next to him, right here. And that is another pinched mobster, because you can have multiple of them in play. Doesn't say you can't. So that is a second potential pinched mobster icon that just needs to get into their deployment zone to be worth something. Now, at the top of the turn, forgot to mention, but this was planned out, did intend to use it. Nightwing is using Moment of Glory, which means he gets Living Legend for the turn. That means he gets 2 turns, but the Audacity marker he has is only usable in one of those turns, and they cannot follow one after the other unless there's no other option. So he will get 2 turns, only one of them has Audacity. He could do one now and then one at the end of the turn. If he's like the last person to go in the turn entirely, then they have to be back to back. That's why it's worded that way. So just to get that on camera as well. Carmine Falcone activated next, and he had a really good turn. However, just before starting recording, noticed an error. He did 2 special actions, and he can't do that. So he is undoing one move, which was to use Coordinate with a special action, which took this guy up here into base to base with that, just so he could activate and move the pinched mobster icon. He'll be moved back 8 inches to where he was in a second, because he used his special action on something far more important, as you might be able to tell. So Falcone activated, he moved into base to base with the other pinched mobster icon, manipulated that, moved it 4 inches. This is inside their deployment zone just, so the pinched mobster that was already in play scored. And it's important that that was already in play. So that one's gone, the other one is still active. He then, as a special action, used Pulling the Strings, which you target an enemy within 8, and if they can see one of your suspect markers, they suffer the Hypnotize effect. Nightwing actually failed his willpower roll, which means that Falcone could do 2 actions with him, and if he does any attacks, he gets 2 free efforts. So he sent Nightwing into Barbara and got him to punch her upside the head for 8 stun. So she is very unconscious, which scored, played during his turn, a dirty job, because KOs or casualties count for that. And as Barbara on the floor unconscious, and Falcone just managed to scoop up 4 victory points. So pretty good turn. Not as good as I thought it was, because we're going to have to move him back because it was 2 special actions used, but still a really good turn. Like, this version of Falcone is the best version of him for sure. Nightwing wanted some payback after that, and this is shaping up to be one of the shortest battles on the channel for Batman, I think. Just both sides are just folding like paper. So he made use of Always on the Move, which means he can pause a movement action to do an attack action, then carry on moving. So he kind of did a diagonal whoop, whoop, like that, and stopped here in order to just beat the living daylights out of this bouncer, got him for 12 stun damage, and then moved over here, and is using his special action to arrest. He was unconscious, I moved that marker, to arrest the other bouncer, scoring a second, get them off the shiny, very shiny, get them off the streets. So, how many does that leave? There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is 5 organised crime on the table, 2 of which are unconscious, and there is 4 Teen Titans, 1 of which is unconscious. Yeah, this is going quick. So thanks to those knockouts, we are already at the final activation of the round for organised crime. Hugo Strange activated. He moved over here. He moves 10 inches, yeah, to engage with Nightwing. He used Facility Drugs, which have Enervating Steel and Hypnotize on him, and wasn't able to get a hit in, so none of those things applied. So then, as a special action, he used Mind Control, and Nightwing passed his willpower roll this time, so didn't get mind controlled in one round twice, because there doesn't seem to be anything that says you can't be. So it would be a little bit weird if, say he moved in, attacked, and that did proc on him, and he failed his willpower roll, and the Hypnotize effect takes effect. He could move, do 2 things, and then as long as he was still within 5 inches, Hugo Strange could then use Mind Control and potentially do it a 3rd time. Like, against a tough character with high willpower, it's not super likely to happen, but it's worth thinking about, because there's, as far as I can tell, there's nothing in the rules that say you can't hypnotize the same miniature more than once per turn. So up on the roof up here, Beast Boy activated. He used Fly again to fly down here amongst this big cluster of models from both sides and revealed the suspect marker that was there, so that's the first bit of damage done to Falcone. In doing so, scoring the generic card Confusion because it is within 8 outside of their deployment. So that scores for that. And as a result of then drawing into hand, they must know pain. He paid 1 resource point to automatically recover Batgirl from KO, which is the second half of it. So she had Audacity before she got knocked out, so presumably she still has it because she's no longer KO'd, so I imagine she does get an action. I'm not 100% sure that's how that works, but that's how we're going to do it. So Raven still gets to go and do something as well. Oh no, actually, hadn't she already went? Yeah, she'd already went because she ran over there at the top of the turn. Never mind. So she has activated. It's just she's no longer knocked out. She's just knocked down, which means we don't have to do the check at the end of the turn. So there is still an advantage to doing that. Last activation for the turn then was Raven. She moved up into base to base with the pinched mobster marker, didn't manipulate it though. She shot some magic bolts into Hugo Strange, got him for 2 blood, but it has been converted to stun to score the second and last non-lethal ammo that we talked about earlier. Then as a special action she used Painful Empathy. You pick a friendly within 8 inches in line of sight, I believe it is. You can transfer up to 2 damage from them. If you do that, she's -1 attack and defense for the rest of the round, but that doesn't matter because it's the end of the round. She took 1 blood and 1 stun off of Batgirl, and she has regeneration, and so along with that stun automatically healing at the end of the round, she's also going to heal that blood, so it's just going to be damage wiped off the table, which is part of what makes her so good. So at the end of Battle Round 2, and what is shaping up to be the quickest Batman Battle Report on the channel for a very long time, neither of the unconscious 4 willpower mobsters have woken up, so Vipera and the other bouncer, they're just staying on the floor and not activating next turn. Forgot to mention, but the terror card that got put in there because of Raven earlier, oh, and there's another one in there now as well, I totally forgot that. They haven't been revealed because Hugo Strange didn't opt to pull any of them out there, so there's 2 objective cards stuck in the terror deck. That said, everyone's healing 1 stun that's conscious, and Raven is healing that 1 blood. Of the cards in play, the Die Hard for Organised Crime scores, because Hugo Strange is perfectly fine. Well, he took 2 stun damage, but he's fine. The Recovering the Juice played on him though, however, does not score because there's no suspect markers to get except 1 up on a building that he can't get to easily unless he can find a sewer marker or a sewer grain. No cards in play for the Teen Titans, no stage 4s or anything being played. The Valuable Commodity stays in play, the other pinched mobster stays in play, and with that, into round 3. So here we are at the top of round 3. Beast Boy has converted into his gorilla form, so that is there amongst the mess down there. The Teen Titans have taken first activation for this round. The survivors on the table all have Audacity. All the conscious people for Organised Crime also have Audacity. And keep in mind, Fright is over this end of the table over there. There's 1 Phase 2 card being played by the Teen Titans. It's Unveiling the Truth, and it's being played on Nightwing. You can pause if you want to read all the text on it. And I think the writing's almost, you can say it's on the wall almost, for Organised Crime. If they're fighting a crew that doesn't put down suspect markers or doesn't put down a lot of suspect markers, it makes an already bad deck so much worse. But we'll play it out anyway. Let's carry on. Well, Nightwing got the turn started and showed why Rebirth Nightwing is just so good. He went into Hugo Strange, he efforted twice, Hugo Strange did not because he was fearing the double stun and combo. And he should, because he took 14 stun damage, which would be enough to knock him out twice over, I think, or almost. No, it's 8 willpower, so not quite. But either way, he is knocked out, and Nightwing is then arresting him for a special action. So unfortunately, Hugo Strange did not exactly get an ideal showing here right now, but I will say I think it might be his crew's fault rather than him. So he is out of there, and that scores the final, get them off the streets. He is obviously denied an activation as well, so that's an Audacity wasted. Nightwing then retreated around the corner over here. That's the 2 stun on him for the efforts he did. The reason he's retreating around here is so that Falcone doesn't have line of sight to as easily hypnotise or try and hypnotise him if he chooses to go after Nightwing, that is. Well, Falcone activated, he moved into position and manipulated the pinched mobster marker 4 inches, which put it over there just so that if anyone wants to be annoying with it, they would have to go get it. He then used This Is My City, or whatever it's called, to do the hypnotise effect on gorilla form Beast Boy, and he passed his willpower roll, so no free hitting Barbara upside the head there. And no cards to play. It's obviously bad luck is playing a part just with the cards being drawn and not having forgotten which thug it is, but or someone from the Batman starter set for Organised Crime has shady dealings. That would have been so helpful here. So bad luck there as well, but it is just a mismatch going up against a team that doesn't need suspect markers, that doesn't have super easy to kill grunts for message job, dirty job. Not making excuses because the fault lies with the quality of the Organised Crimes deck, but it is just a mismatch in terms of like being in the same ballpark. Barbara activated, suffered impaired movement to hop up on top of the truck here, glided down with her back cape, walked over to the sewer grain here, manipulated it to pop herself out on this roof up here. 1 to try and keep her safe and alive, and 2 in order to well, hopefully score by the end of the turn. Put into play another free for all, so have the most models within 4 inches of the centre not suffering KO. Currently, it's probably just, well, no, Falcone might be there, but I think Nightwing is also within range. It will need to be carefully measured at the end of turn. Also depends where Raven ends up moving, or Beast Boy as well. Well, with nothing else she can really do, Fright activated as the final activation of the turn already for Organised Crime. She moved 12 inches though, so she moved up to this sewer marker, used it, and also popped out over here to try and deny Teen Titans some points and potentially set up for something next turn. So just Raven and Beast Boy left to go. Raven activated first, came round here, and for lack of having handcuffs, decided just to beat up Vipera on the floor. Excess stun damage obviously ignored, but for every hit does 1 blood. She efforted once, didn't bother putting that down. She's got willpower 8 by the way. So she did at least 4 hits. The strength I didn't get through, surprisingly. She's only 4+ strength. But all the normal hits did. He was defense 2 anyway, let alone negative debuffs for being on the floor and unconscious. So she bludgeoned him with her fists to death. No card scored on that, just it was something to do. So Beast Boy just moved up and manipulated the pinched mobster icon to try and stop him from scoring. He didn't want it in base to base with Falcone because then he could just use it instantly without moving first. So he had to put it there. I don't know if that's far enough to stop it going into the deployment zone if Falcone activates it in the final turn. We'll just have to wait and see. And that already takes us to the end of the round. So at the end of the penultimate round, the unconscious bouncer down there did not wake up, so his game is over one way or t'other. The free-for-all in play, it's actually a draw between Falcone, Fright, Barbara and Raven. Nightwing is just out, so from where the middle is actually, because the middle is actually, if not close to that edge, it's like there. Oh, I wasn't, it's like there. So it did not score. The unveiling the truth stays in play, the pinched mobster stays in play, as does the valuable commodities. And with that, into what will be an exceptionally quick final turn. Dawn of the final day, top of battle round for everyone who's on the table and not unconscious, not that guy. They all have Audacity, and the Organised Crime crew has taken first activation again. They're also putting a phase 2 card into play. They're putting another Recovering the Juice into play, and this one is being played on Fright because she's the only person who could potentially do a single thing with this. So we'll see what happens. No additional card. To be honest, the Teen Titans can't really play anything in their hand, so they're just disrupting and trying to stop them, the Organised Crime, from scoring. So it was straight over to Fright, who manipulated... Oh, actually, she then went on to do an attack. She can't do that because she manipulated. She manipulated the suspect marker there to remove it, meeting 1/2 of the criteria for Recovering the Juice. Yeah, I've rolled out an attack, but nope, that didn't happen. Only the strength I got through, that's why there was only 2 stun there. She has reinforced gloves. Like, she actually isn't bad in combat, it's just the roll was rubbish. But the roll didn't happen, because she couldn't do that anyway. She moved ever so slightly. The card will only score if she lives to the end of the round. That means she has to survive Barbara hitting her, and potentially Nightwing if he opts to jump up there and get her. And that's it. Well, Barbara was first up with her reinforced gloves combo to try and take Fright out. Only the strength that I got through, the roll was appalling. So just 2 stun damage. And then using her back claw, she just retreated over here, basically just to get out of Nightwing's way to make sure there's enough room for him to fit in there. Well, Falcone activated, and all he could really do was try and make the other pinched mobster in play score. He's not going down because there's no suspect markers for the Teen Titans to remove to hurt him, so he is scoring valuable commodities at the end of the game for sure. But that's as close as he can move the pinched mobster, and this is the 8-inch deployment zone, so it is obviously not in there, so it will not score. That essentially means the game is over. All that matters is, can Nightwing knock out Fright to stop Recovering the Juice scoring? Actually, doesn't even matter, because if she's unconscious on the floor, it will still score, because she's still in the gaming area. She would have to be arrested, and that would mean he'd have to get up there without the backlaw, which he can't do. So actually, the game is just over then, because Nightwing, even if he goes up there and knocks her out, which he will do fairly easily, it doesn't matter. Recovering the Juice will score. Just want to double check the wording. I think the beta version of this card is a completely different wording and different type, but we're using these until there's official second, print cards. Yeah, the model reveals name of suspect and is still in the gaming era. Yep, doesn't say they have to be conscious, so never mind. We'll just go straight to the end phase, because there's nothing else to do. Man, this was a weird game. The valuable commodities in play for Organised Crime scores. The pinched mobster does not. The Recovering the Juice does, because Fright would be on the gaming era whether conscious or not. So that is actually 6 they managed to pull back there right at the end. And it's not like the Teen Titans have been scoring a ton. Speaking of which, the Unveiling the Truth, not Recovering the Juice, Unveiling the Truth. It does not score because Nightwing did not go after any assessment markers. Even if he'd done something alternative with his turn, there's no assessment markers left on the table for him to go because Organised Crime didn't really need to put down that many either. So that's just discarded. I think it's a given who's won. Well, I shouldn't say that actually because with that 6 points could swing a bit. Let's go see. Alright, with a little bit of glare, let's see what happens, starting with the Teen Titans. So that is 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, not great. Okay, 21. Plays 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 is a lot worse, yeah. So Organised Crime comfortably lost it. It was a very bad mismatch against any kind of team that doesn't need to put down assessment markers. The Teen Titans, super dated at this point, obviously. The miniatures are totally out of whack with newer releases scale-wise. Their rules could do with a complete overhaul, especially the team rules, which need to be incorporated into the app if they're supposed to still be applicable, that is. If any experience points were supposed to be used, wouldn't really have changed anything. Maybe some of the thugs might have stayed conscious. I think they were overkilled, as no, they weren't killed, they were knocked out, but we'll just say overkill for the sake of the example. I think they were overkilled to the point that if there was one less die thrown in, it wouldn't have made any difference at all. Could be wrong, but that's the way it came across to me. Off camera, I did roll to see if Starfire would have survived if the survivor rule was kicking in. 1 in 6 chance to get removed when you first would die. No, so didn't make any difference there either. Teen Titans are cool. I wish they got some updated miniatures, updated rules, updated magic rules for 3rd edition along with speedsters would be nice, but what can you hope for? Raven is good on her own, even if you ignore her not being able to use magic, so she's essentially missing quite a large chunk of her kit, and even then she's still good. Starfire, her HP being so low, I don't understand. I think that's 2nd edition balance. I don't think it works for 3rd edition, but either way, can't complain too much. They won today. So that was probably a short one. I hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you very much for doing so, and we will hopefully see you in the future for more. Until then, it's ta for now.